What's going on, guys? It's Nick here, back with another video. Today, we're going to go over top 5 deep sleepers really early in the summer, but just wanted to put a video out there. Sort of not a top 5 list. I'm going to break it down each position. So we're going to start off tight end, running back, wide receiver, and then quarterback. Yes, I know how to count. That is only 4. What I did was I added each position. I just added some honorable mentions. So it's really like a top 14 list, but it was close to 5, so I said top 5. And that's basically what we're doing through the entire season is top 5 lists. So yeah, we're going to start this one off with tight end Ricky Seals-Jones. Currently going as tight end 39. He's not a guy, obviously, that like you're in a 10-team league that you need to draft. Obviously, you're not drafting this guy, but a deep sleeper. This is someone who, if there's a ton of news, ton of hype really out of camp, there's a lot of snaps for him in the regular season, because remember, Jermaine Gresham's probably not going to start the season. It's very unlikely at this point. He could produce. If he's getting the snaps and he's running pass routes, he could produce. So we want to watch the preseason. We want to see, are they using him to just block, or are they using him as a pass-catching tight end? 0.74 fantasy points per opportunity, led all tight ends last season. Only ran 68 routes. That's basically the reason he's leading in all of these categories, is because he did really well with those routes. So on 68 routes, 12 receptions on 28 targets for 201 yards and 3 touchdowns. Targeted on 41% of his routes run. That's insane. First in yards per reception, first in yards per route run, 5th in ADOT, obviously just among tight ends. This dude was a beast when he was given the opportunity more towards the end of last season. Can he do it again? I mean, he's going as tight end 38 or 39 for a reason, but keep an eye out on him. Could be a guy, depending on when DraftKings prices come out, could be a guy that maybe we use. But right now, deep sleeper, and if he does something early in the season, maybe a guy pick up off waivers. Time for some honorable mentions. First on the list, we got George Kittle. I did not include him as the winner of this position, essentially because I don't know if 12th round is really a deep sleeper. It could be considered that. I guess it depends on your definition. But also, I don't think he stays in the 12th round. I think he gets hyped up during the offseason into maybe the 10th. Might push around like that 10th, 11th round. But regardless, he's going to go up, and he's not a super deep sleeper. Still a guy that I love drafting. Love his athleticism. Love the offense that he's in. And people, and me in particular, definitely think that offense takes a step forward this season. It's going to be Kittle as a decent beneficiary of that. So I think he's a great pick in the 12th round. Not exactly deep sleeper, but wanted to put him on the list. Next, we got David Njoku, and I just pull up his playerprofiler.com athleticism chart here. I mean, he's most comparable to Travis Kelce. They drafted him in the first round for a reason. Dude's going to be 22 to start the year. We know the rookie tight ends absolutely never produce in their rookie year. Evan Ingram was basically the only option, or the only person to do that, but it was because his entire team died around him. I mean, just look at all of these metrics, and it's just absolutely insane. They're going to use him more in the offense this season, so I think where he's going in drafts right now is an absolute steal. So he makes the next part on this list. And then we've got Vance McDonald, and I think he could have definitely been in contention to beat out Ricky, but I don't know. I just figured the deal on Ricky was a little bit too late, but deal 25 for tight end going undrafted. We saw what he's capable of, right? We saw last season what he can do if he's given the opportunity in the playoffs. Will he stay healthy? Will they keep using him in that role? We don't know, but I still think he's an absolutely fantastic pick. Let's move to the running back position. So Royce Freeman, I included like 2 or 3 honorable mentions just because I don't really know if you guys consider Royce Freeman a deep sleeper. Obviously, he should be going really high in Dynasty. I don't really play Dynasty, so I don't know where he's going. But currently going as running back 44 in the 10th round. At that point, he's an absolute bargain. I don't have my rankings up right now, and they're not finalized yet. But I have a feeling he's going to be in the 20s at least. Dude's 6 feet tall, 230 pounds, and yet 83rd percentile agility score, 85th percentile speed score. Extremely successful in college. He just has to beat out Booker and Henderson. He's going to beat out both of them. Booker's going to take some third down work. But the Broncos brought in Keenum, so they're going to have more stable play. So they're not going to be coming from behind every single week. Okay? they're going to have a good quarterback that's going to keep defenses honest, and Royce Freeman's really good. So even if Booker takes some of that third down role, this is going to be an excellent pick. So I really, really like the value you're getting on Royce Freeman right now. Entirely possible that he moves up later into drafts. Mentions. Honorable mentions. We got 3 of them here. I put in Aaron Jones not as a deep sleeper, as more of a, hey, guys, that's really, really good value on him right now. I do think he beats out Jamal Williams in camp. Look at his playerprofiler.com athleticism metrics. I mean, 88th percentile burst score, 96th percentile dominator rating in college, 89th percentile target market share. So he can do it all. And I do really think that Jamal Williams, his stats were inflated by a few big plays. So I think that gets reversed this season in favor of Aaron Jones. Clement going in the 12th round as RB51. Listen, he's going to be the goal line back for the Eagles. So you're getting a bargain at the very end of your draft. Goal line touches, possible receptions. We saw how good he was in the playoffs last season. Looks like a really well improved running back. And then Peyton Barber, just because I don't think Ronald Jones is at this point in his career where he's going to be. So I think that they're going to more ease him in. And Barber, I don't know if people don't notice it, but if you look at the numbers that he put up at the end of last season, when Winston was finally getting healthy, and when he had that job, they were really good. So getting him in the 13th round, I don't draft handcuffs. I recommend no one drafts handcuffs. So I don't say, like, if you're drafting Jones, draft Barber. No, don't do that. But he's a really good pick if you're going to hedge on the fact that Jones doesn't take over that role. So love all those picks. And now let's move on to the wide receivers. And we're going to start off, quite honestly, with a guy that might be on every single one of my teams this season. I genuinely don't know if he's going to be hyped higher or if he's going to stay at this spot. If he stays here, he should be on every one of your teams. Chris Godwin, wide receiver 68 right now, obviously going undrafted, wide receiver 68. Incredible. I really do think this guy has incredible upside. Obviously, we know Mike Evans is the guy. We know that without a shadow of doubt. We know O.J. Howard is the future of that team in the receiving game, but we know Brate's also going to be there splitting work with him. We know Deshaun Jackson's a deep threat. I truly believe Godwin beats out Humphries for that slot role. He didn't play a ton in the slot last season, but if they can convert him to that position, which I really think they can, look at his athletic profile, he's going to be a star. 22 years old, 89th percentile speed score, 68th percentile burst score, 72nd percentile agility, 78th percentile catch radius, 95th percentile spark X score, so he can play the slot. High college dominator, early breakout range, 16th rated wide receiver according to Pro Football Focus last season. He's going to be a stud if he can get the opportunity. And we saw, like you'll see later, when I mentioned Jameis Winston, we saw last season, second half of the year, when Winston was finally healthy, great. So I think Godwin's an awesome pick. Honorable mentions, we got Cameron Meredith and Brice Butler. I kind of put Butler on this list because, I don't know, I have a thing for Butler for some reason. But I wanted to add another person because Meredith, again, probably not a super deep sleeper, but he's going a lot later than I thought he would. He's going to be the number 2 receiver for the Saints. It's how good is that now? We know in the past that was an awesome place to be, but we know they're going to feed Ingram, they're going to feed Kamara, they're going to throw to Ingram, they're going to throw to Kamara, and they're going to throw a ton to Michael Thomas. How much does that leave for Meredith? I don't know, but he should be stable. He can play the slot and the outside. He's very talented in both. He's still very young. He is a great wide receiver, and I think that he's being undervalued right now. Brice Butler, wide receiver 80, so you're not, I mean, this is like your last pick. I would prefer Godwin if I was picking the 2, but he has a legitimate shot to be the wide receiver 2 in Arizona. We could have a wide receiver 2 on a team at wide receiver 80 in the draft. Made the most of his opportunities last season. He's got a dominant athletic profile. It's just, will they pick him basically to be number 2? I always wanted them to play him over Tyrell Williams when he was on Dallas. It just never worked out, but I think that if they give him the opportunity, then he can absolutely do a lot with it. So there are your honorable mentions for wide receivers. Moving on to quarterback. Lamar Jackson. Now, I don't know what the community is going to think. I think they'll be a little more positive towards him because what we saw last season in Deshaun Watson. But right now, they're not. The community doesn't like him. I mean, quarterback 25, 14th round. Obviously, if he beats out Flacco in camp, that's going to skyrocket. But if you're one of those people who likes to draft 2 quarterbacks, I don't recommend it. But if you are, Lamar Jackson is the perfect quarterback 2. He averaged 120 rushing yards per game in 2016 and 2017. Now, I know what you're thinking. Okay, yes, he can run, but will he be able to pass? Well, they did improve their receiving corps, so that's a positive for him. And the second positive is it doesn't really matter how scoring works in fantasy football. If you have a mobile quarterback, he's very, very valuable, even if he can't throw the football. Rich Rebar did the original article, and I believe it was like 2010, maybe it was 2013, a few years ago. And he basically said that since 2001, there have been 43 quarterbacks who have had 60 or more rushing attempts, which is only 4 per week. There's been 43 quarterbacks with at least 4 rushing attempts a week. 81% of them finish as quarterback 1s, 90% above replacement level in 12-team leagues. So that would be like the top 12 and then the next 6. Scott Barrett looked at that article and he expanded on it. He said, okay, since 1970, there have been 76 quarterbacks with at least 5 rushing attempts per game. Their average fantasy points per game, 17.9. Lamar Jackson, if he takes over this role, and he doesn't have to do it early in the year, if we see that he's going to take over that role and we get him on our rosters, the dude is going to, without a shadow of a doubt, run the ball that many times. And if he's got good receivers to throw to, and he's going to take 7, 8 carries a game, he is going to finish as a quarterback 1. I promise you. If Lamar Jackson, hopefully I didn't say his name wrong a second ago, I feel like I just did. Regardless, if Lamar Jackson runs the ball 7 or 8 times a game, he'll finish as a quarterback 1 in fantasy football. And you're getting him as quarterback 25. So that's the upside that this dude has. The downside is I don't like drafting 2 quarterbacks, and he might not start the season as a starter. But if he does, he'll definitely be on my short list. Mentions. And this is the reason that you don't always have to draft a guy like that, is because everywhere there is just quarterbacks galore this year. If you're drafting a quarterback before like the 12th round, I don't know why you're doing that. Winston's going in the 13th, Trubisky going in the 14th. I think Winston's probably the steal of the draft right now as quarterback 21. Averaged 307 passing yards per game in non-injury games. Remember, he was hurt last year. 20.5 fantasy points per game over the final 8 weeks. He broke out last season when he wasn't hurt. And now you have another year of O.J. Howard. Now you've got Godwin replacing Humphries. Humphries is terrible. Godwin is good, like I mentioned. With a deep threat in Deshaun Jackson, with Mike Evans. This offense could be really good. It was a sleeper offense last year. Winston got hurt. It's no longer a sleeper offense. But you know what? There's no reason for that. There's no reason that if you thought they were going to be great last year, that you don't think the same thing this year. Winston is going to be a great, great steal. Trubisky, I think the same way. Upside, I would say, is lower than Winston, and confidence level lower than Winston. But you know what? You're getting him at quarterback 26 right now. And likely, this has 13th and 14th round. Likely both of them get undrafted if it's quarterback 21 and 26. But I don't see how Winston goes undrafted. Trubisky has now Allen Robinson, Trey Burton, Taylor Gabriel. The offense should improve as a whole. He had 41 rushing attempts last season. Remember, if you get 60 rushing attempts, 81% chance you're finishing as a quarterback 1. So this dude runs the ball. He's got an improved defense. He's got an improved offense. They actually trusted him to end last season. Remember, early in the year, he had like 7 pass attempts in games. It's just nuts. They weren't using him at all. They're finally trusting him. He's got another off season. Trubisky. Great, great sleeper. Great sleeper Winston. Great sleeper Lamar Jackson. That is the end of the sleeper list. Hope you guys did enjoy. Remember, if you have any questions about our rankings, go to the website, thefantasyfootballadvice.com. I'll link it in the description box down below. You can check out our latest rankings. Easy download right to your computer if you want to edit them, do anything for your draft, print them off for when your drafts happen. They're by tiers as well. It's one click. Of course, like always, we're going to have the premium rankings. That'll be available in June. They're going to have so much more than those downloadable rankings have. Those just have players by tier. These are going to have the notes, the risk matrix, the projections. We're going to have the sleepers list that always gets updated. We're going to have who you should be targeting in certain rounds, the players that we like to draft the most. And that gets updated real time to your computer. It's going to be through Dropbox. You can obviously download right away. You can go to Dropbox and download it whenever you want. But if you set up a selective sync on Dropbox, when I hit save on my computer, it's going to update to your computer. So you have the exact copy right when I update it. That'll be out in June. That's the end of this video. Hope you enjoyed. See you on the next one.